So here's a story for you. Headline in MIT Technology Review: Chinese scientists have put human brain genes in monkeys, and yes, they may be smarter. Okay, so basically the gist of the story, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, but the gist of the story is that they did genetic engineering on these monkeys, and they appear, according to the scientists, to do better on tests of intelligence and memory. Now, I saw somebody tweet this out, a picture of this headline next to a picture of the final image from the original Planet of the Apes movie. And of course, that was the premise of Planet of the Apes. But it raises a lot of really interesting moral and philosophical and scientific questions, including questions of medical ethics, and I'll get to that in a second. First of all, the scientist who did it, Bing Su, a geneticist at the Kunming Institute of Zoology, said, quote, "This was the first attempt to understand the evolution of human cognition using a transgenic monkey model." In other words, to figure out how human beings became human beings, users of language, and thinkers of abstract thought the way we are. They decided to monkey with the genetics of a monkey. Now, according to Dr. Su and his colleagues, these monkeys did better on a memory test involving color and block pictures, and their brains took longer to develop, like human brains take longer to develop. Their brains weren't bigger, but their brains grew more slowly and supposedly became more intelligent. Now, a geneticist here in the U.S. Said this, quote, "The use of transgenic monkeys to study human genes linked to brain evolution is a very risky road to take. It is a classic slippery slope issue, and one we can expect to recur as this type of research is pursued." I guess what he's driving at is the slippery slope is how much do you want to alter the genetics of another species to make them more like our own, and at what point do you have the same kind of ethical obligations you might have to a human being? I mean, I'm gathering that that's the slippery slope he's facing, that he's talking about. He goes on to say, it's troubling that the field is steamrolling along in this matter. Now, we don't know what causes human beings to think the way we think. We don't know precisely what causes us to use language, but this Dr. Sakella, and the one I was just quoting, wrote a paper back in 2010 called "The Ethics of Using Transgenic Non-Human Primates to Study What Makes Us Human." And they concluded that human brain genes should never be added to apes or chimpanzees because they're too similar to us. Now, another scientist, a bioethicist who worked on that paper, said, you just go to the Planet of the Apes immediately in the popular imagination. Well, yeah, to humanize them is to cause harm. Where would they live and what would they do? Do not create a being that can't have a meaningful life in any context. Now, I guess where I come down on that is I agree, number one, you are creating a being that is neither this nor that is not at home in either their society or our own. But, I also feel that we shouldn't be experimenting on chimpanzees or monkeys or apes at all. I think they are already similar enough to us. In fact, I think all living things should be treated with utmost care and respect and not automatically experimented on or treated in a random way depending on how one's curiosity ought to be satisfied. Now, obviously, we want to understand consciousness. Obviously, there are medical uses for that. But if you believe that other living things have awareness, have consciousness, as I do, and as perhaps you do, then, it's really, talk about slippery slopes, it's a very slippery slope to go down. Now, Dr. Su, the guy doing the experiment, says he doesn't think the monkeys will ever become anything more than monkeys. Impossible by introducing only a few human genes, he says. That may be true, but even as monkeys, they deserve our respect. Even as monkeys, they deserve autonomy. Even as monkeys, they need to be treated with care and solicitude and, if you will, tenderness. And that's what I would advocate. So I think this whole road is one we should not go down. And we haven't even talked about how the discoveries will be used. So please, let's not encourage this type of research.